All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for understanding. I guess we've been able to put a little bit of security on this, and I'll be admitting everyone that'll be coming in. Um, so we'll just take it all over again. Let me see if Vera is back in the meeting. All right. Dr. Vera, are you here? Okay, she's yet to join. So we'll just go, we'll just take Farida. Now, I also like to acknowledge the presence of a very good friend of mine, Iyobosa. All right. She's been a friend for many years. I also like to appreciate everyone that is on this call: Ahmed, Aisha, Basi, Miriam, MB Usman, Olalekon, Franklin, Tosin, Zainab, Keyo, you're welcome. I just want to acknowledge and thank you for joining. So we've lost a bit of time, and we'll just hit the road going. So while we're waiting for Dr. Vera to join us again, Farida will just take you and we'll hit the road running. All right. So Farida, the question to you is this. Farida, please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, fantastic. All right. And the question is, do professionally ambitious women really do have two options when it comes to their choice of partners? Is it an absolute statement, or is there more to it? Please let's know your thoughts and share your experience. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm just gonna put on my camera so that you can see the voice behind. I mean the face behind the voice, but I'm gonna put it off now, because the internet. I mean the bandwidth. I need to have it to be enough so that I can speak. So I will put it off now. So back to the question. Like Mr. Jonah mentioned, I posted something about it. I read an article on Harvard Business Review that said professionally ambitious women have two options when it comes to their partners. It's either they have a super supportive partner or no partner at all, because anything in between ends up being a moral and career-sapping Morass. And your question right now, Jonah, is if it is absolute. So I wouldn't completely say it is absolute, because after I read the article, I did some thinking and I conversed with a couple of my friends, and we arrived at about three particular options when it comes to that. And option one is it's either those ambitious women to marry down. That means they place a safer bet by doing what men throughout the ages and centuries have done by marrying from a lower social class, right? And they do that, or they marry someone who is about to retire. That is somebody who is 50 or 60 plus, someone who has at least 20 years. I mean, there's at least 20 years of age gap in between the two parties, or they stay single, actually. So the reason why you can marry someone who is like 50 to 60 years older than you is because they have gone through the life process. They've gone through, the beginning of their careers to the mid to, and they're currently trying to retire. So they've seen it all. There wouldn't be such friction when it comes to, having dual career couples, because everybody is trying to get on top of the ladder, right? But that other party is already, they have already arrived. I mean, they've gone to the highest peak of their career and they're slowly winding down. So, they would be more supportive towards somebody who is just starting out on the career chain or career ladder. And it's either you do that or you marry from a lower social class, like I said. And that means if you're marrying from a lower social class, it's not just restricted to the social class. You actually have to marry somebody who is NFA, as we call it. NFA meaning no future ambition, right? That person doesn't have as much ambition as you do, or doesn't even have an ambition at all, and has no problem staying at home to take care of the kids, take care of the house, take care of, the logistics that comes with building a family. But if two dual career individuals are going to go into a partnership, that would also work. I wouldn't say it won't work, but the only place or only time you would see that working is if the core foundational values are aligned. And these values, they can even be altered from time to time based on the progression of the career. Say, for example, I'm going to give my own personal experience when it comes to this, because I was married before now, and I got divorced a couple of years back. And this has been one of the major factors that led to that particular outcome with my marriage, because I was growing in my career, and then coming from, the kind of community that I come from. And I come from the northern part of Nigeria, which is a predominantly conservative part of the country. And we are so engrossed in culture, right? And social systems and social constructs. The idea that a lady is just there to serve at the pleasure of her husband. Yes, if we're in a partnership, we both are there to serve at the pleasure of each other, right? But then at all times, you are told to place his own career and his own ambitions above yours. His is primary and yours is secondary, right? But then when you go into that kind of union, and then you figure out this isn't what you want to do, you also want to be ambitious. You're ambitious and you want to go and get your goals. And then that becomes a problem. You start having clashes because you didn't have some sort of understanding right from the beginning, right? He wants to, get to the top of the ladder. You also want to get to the top of the ladder. So if the core values and the foundations do not align, then that's when you're going to start having problems. You're going to start having issues about who is going to stay home to take care of the children. That's if you decide to have children, because these are fundamental questions that you need to ask yourselves at the beginning of the relationship. Are children part of the package? If they are, whose career is going to go on a pause for the period of time that those children need the absolute 100% attention of either of the parents? Is it going to be like you're going to take turns to do it? Or is it that one person is going to put their own career on hold? And when, say, for example, the kids are like 2 years old, and the other person would now take up their careers, and continue from where they put a pause on it. And there's so many dynamics around the family system that before you get into it, if you are ambitious and you have goals and you want to achieve those goals, and you're working actively towards achieving those goals, then I would honestly say the two parties need to have an honest conversation about those goals, about their values, about their belief systems. Because if they don't align, I promise you 100% that is a recipe for disaster, because it's going to come crashing. And when it comes crashing, it's not going to be nice. It won't be nice.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead. Are you done?
Yes, I was just going to add, I read an article or a publication from Harvard Business Review. They conducted a survey of their graduates of the Harvard Business School. The survey was mainly conducted for the male graduates. There weren't female participants, and they wanted to try to understand how the dynamic is in the, not just the family, even inclusive of the work life. Inclusive of the work dynamic. They wanted to find out the partnership between ambitious men and ambitious women. And more than half of those men, the results showed that more than half of those men expected that their careers would take precedence over their wives' careers, while most of the women when they spoke to most of the women expected an egalitarian type of marriage. I mean, almost no woman expected that their own career would come first, of course, right? So I feel this is kind of, subconsciously imprinted in the minds of both the men and the women. And this has to do with the family unit, right? From the way the family unit is constructed and the way the family is brought up. Some of the values that are transferred from the parents to the children. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Profound. Now, I just want to reiterate what Farida has said. First and foremost, she said, if it must work between an ambitious woman and her partner, sorry, I beg your pardon, she must be willing to pick somebody from a higher social class or a lower social class. However, if you are equally ambitious, the man is ambitious and the woman is ambitious, then we need to come down to the point of determining our values and determining our values. And she said something, core fundamental values must align. I think that is profound. And before I begin to harmonize the points and bring everything we've said together and maybe hopefully form a position on what we should do or what people can do, I think Dr. Vera is back. We'd like to hear from her. So Dr. Vera, I believe you heard part of what Farida said, and I would like to take your question again. And the question for you is it true or that anything in between ends up being a moral and a career-sapping morass? Now, for those that are just joining us, what we're trying to look at here is there's this comment in Harvard's Business Review, which says that professionally ambitious women really only have two options when it comes to their personal partners: a super supportive partner or no partner at all. Anything in between ends up being a moral and career-sapping morass. So the question to Dr. Vera is it true that anything in between ends up being a moral and a career-sapping morass? I believe it's clear.
Oh, well, okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay,
thank
great.
you for that now.
Okay,
so I would say that I do not think that sentence is an absolute.
Great.
Because it does have some truth in it.
Okay.
Women, ambitious women, or women who are succeeding, succeed because they have a spouse they can leverage on their support. And that's one of the reasons why women or people succeed, whether you're a man or a woman. So talking about women, so let me just streamline my thoughts to a woman. So yes, a woman will succeed well if she has a very, very supportive husband that she can leverage on, right? And if she doesn't have anyone at all, probably she has some support system and all of that she's working with. Now, if she has a husband who is not supportive, and that's what you mean by anyone short of that, to believe that? Is that what you mean? You said anything short of that. It means if she doesn't have a husband who is supportive, then she becomes a career-sapping
morass. Yeah.
Well, to an extent, yes, but not an absolute, because sometimes some people might just the decision to succeed, for me, I think, is a deliberate one.
So sorry to cut you short there. So basically, what we're saying is, if now clearly, like from what you've said, if you have a supportive partner, it's a sure line to success. Definitely, once you have a supportive partner, obviously, and you're ambitious, obviously, you definitely succeed. So what we're saying is, anything in between. So if you have a partner who is not wholly supportive and wholly not supportive, just in between, do you think the woman can still succeed? Anything?
Yes, she can.
Okay.
Yes, I got that question, and that's why I'm saying that sentence may not be an absolute. It's true. It's true, but I do not think that, because I've seen women who do not have supportive husbands who are still supported. Now, the only thing is that it just takes them to be extra. I think what some of them will do is to compartmentalize themselves and say, okay, this is my reality. Okay. And I always would tell people, when I speak with people, I say, you don't have to be with someone, you choose to be with someone. So if you know that the person you're dealing with is not a supportive one, and you're not ready to leave the person for whatever reason, because I'm not privy to the other information that you have. But the fact that a man is not supporting you does not necessarily mean you will not succeed. It means that the way the swiftness of the other person's success might not be yours. You may have to do more. You might give it more time. You may also need to look for support system. So I totally completely agree, because I, for one, I'm succeeding today because I have an ultra supportive spouse. But I've also looked at myself, and I know that I'm one person who has determined, who has said to himself that I will certainly succeed. So should I be married to someone who is not supportive? I may not have gotten to where I am today. I certainly may not have, but that does not stop me from achieving what I want to achieve. Two things will be involved. I may leave that relationship, or if I am still in that relationship, I may decide to compartmentalize my mindset and say, okay, I don't have this working for me in the home. Then I may begin to look for support system from friends, from colleagues, from the office, from church, from wherever. Now, I will not succeed very fast, but because I've seen many women whose home front, whose spouses are not supportive, but they are still making impact. It is sapping, yeah, I agree. It is stressful, but they still succeed. So while I agree with that statement, I still feel that there are other factors that can even make a woman succeed if she does not have that spouse. But 100%, if you have someone who is supporting you, you will succeed well. But if you do not have one, it may be difficult, but there's still room for success. Now, many other things might suffer, right? But yeah, there is still room for success, if that's what you mean. Yeah.
All right, thank you very, very, very much. So basically, just to reiterate what you've said is supportive partners will definitely enhance a successful woman. However, even if you have a partner that is not supportive, it might be stressful, you might need to go through a lot, but it is still possible to succeed. Now, there's a comment here in the chat box before I take our third guest. The person is saying that most, sorry, let me take that clearly. Oh, that's kind of a very long comment from Aisha Itzma. Okay, I might not be able to read everything. I think you can just go to the comment box and look at that. But the part I saw is, most important thing is choose what makes you happy. Make sure your choice is centered towards your dreams and goals. All right, great. Now, let me just reiterate what Dr. Vera has said. Supportive partners enhances success for women. And if you don't have a supportive partner, it places more stress. It might be actually sapping, but there is a possibility that you can still succeed if you do not have a supportive partner. We'll hold that thought. And then we'll come back to it. Now we'll go to our third guest, Philomena. All right, so what we have for her here is this. Just a moment. Now, there's a comment here. Part of the comments we posted while we were trying to get people to register for this roundtable talk. We said a supportive partner is a person who comforts and gives freedom. He does not restrict. He's the ideal man of the career woman. He truly understands how to be with her. He understands her schedule and has mastered how to work with her. However, most women often look out for long-term relationship and a supportive partner, which always tops the list. Now, would you say that a supportive partner is the best bet for the ambitious, independent woman, or can you see this from an entirely different angle? Let's know your thoughts. All right, Philomena, let's hear from you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jonah. I've been enjoying the talks from all the speakers, and I just feel like I should just relax and just keep hearing them. But I think I have to chip in some things. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I know we've said a lot, or a lot have been said. And, Farida talked about core values aligning, and all that. And Dr. Vera said, well, not having a supportive partner does not necessarily mean that you would not succeed, which is actually the truth. which is actually the truth, because I think people have this perception that having a lot of things in common or a lot of similarities equal to I would always get a lot of support from my partner, and they end up getting disappointed because it's not always the case. He loves football, you know, you love football as a woman, or he loves politics, you also love politics while you're in a relationship. That does not necessarily mean that you would get the support if you venture into a career of politics, like you want to go into politics, just because you feel you have a lot of similarities together. For me, a supportive partner, what makes a supportive partner is a mix of traits, right? Some are more obvious and some are not, right? No relationship is perfect, and there'll always be like snags along the journey, you know. But one key thing I always tell like the youngsters around me is communication. Communication is one very effective tool, even before you dive into the institution of marriage, right? You have to get to talk a lot, right? Make him understand. Don't just assume that, oh, okay, let's say, for example, he knows I'm a doctor and he knows that this career path can be very demanding. I have to take calls, you know, sometimes I have to go for call duties for like maybe 48 hours, you know, it can be demanding. So he should already know that I am a doctor. And while we go into marriage, he should know that I have a lot of responsibilities to my organization, right? We always just believe that, but I think that communication matters. Let's take, okay, let me give us a story, and well, it's about me. Before I got married, yes, I'm a scientist, I'm a research scientist, but before I went deeply into research, right, I had this relationship going, well, my present husband, you know, he knows that this is what I want to do. He comes to my office, he sees how demanding the kind of work I do is, right? But I did not stop at just leaving him to think if he wants to continue with the relationship, right? We get to talk, you know, and I get to tell him, okay, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to go deeply into research, in not just any kind of research, but into infectious diseases. So he knows that, okay, anything can happen at any time, right? And so we talked a lot, and I think he was okay with it, because from time to time I would always chip in, okay, oh, I want to further, I want to do my master's, I want to go for my PhD, you know, we want to have this number of kids, you know, how do we want to take care of these kids at every given point, right? So we started talking. And when I find out that, okay, I'm very comfortable with, yeah, his response, you know, I made up my mind that, okay, this is it for me. And not just from his response, from, you know, his attitude, right? I know people change. There is no perfect relationship, like I said before, but you get to see some things that you know that, okay, this guy will end up being very supportive. And I know there was a time I had to travel when our first daughter was just 9 months old, you know. But before then, I had to tell my office, you know, that, see, on one condition, I will go on this trip after I talk with my spouse, and I would have to work with his own timetable also. And they gave me that opportunity, right? And then we talked. We talked how we would get support, you know, what we need to put in place that would enable me go for that trip, because he knows that that trip was going to enhance my career. And we had to put all of that in place. Again, another point I think most people miss is having a balance. As a woman, you have a lot of great ideas, right? You want to get to the peak of your career. I think having a balance for me, aside communication, is also one major key thing. most women tend to neglect the home front. Yes, we know that from time past, like we all came into this world and we met this whole idea that, okay, a woman is supposed to take care of the house, a woman is supposed to care for the family and all that. And that has been like a culture that we all came to that we all met on ground, right? But yes, we know we have a lot of school of thoughts that feels that there should be equality. But we know that even right from our days of social studies, right, the man is the head of the home, right? And we know being the head of the home, you have a lot of responsibilities, right? You as the man, you have a lot of responsibilities. Even a growing career woman, a successful career woman expects a lot from the man, expects a lot of responsibility towards the home when it comes to cash flow and all that, good life, having a good life and all that. We all know that most women, no matter how successful they are, they still want their husband to play that role, right? So I think for me, having a balance, no matter how you want to grow in your career, you should also create time as a woman. Remember that the woman, you can quote me wrong, but the woman has been created in a way that she can multitask. Remember, she would have to carry the fetus for 9 months, experience a lot of changes in her body. I think those changes are kind of preparing her to take care of the child, or to take care of the children when eventually they come. So in building your career as a woman, you should have a balance of taking care of the home front also. It shouldn't just be all about your career. The husband also needs your attention. The home front needs your attention. So for me, I feel women have been created in a way that they can actually multitask and do that without stress. For me, I think it's creating a balance. Once there is a balance, I don't think any man, in quotes, would want to create issues for a career woman or a woman that really wants to grow or that wants to get to the peak of her career.
All right, Philomena, thank you very, very much. I'm getting a lot of comments here, and somebody's asking a question. So, but before we treat that question, I'd just like to reiterate what she has said. She said the fact that you have similarities does not mean that he is going to be supportive. So that's something to watch out for. Similarities doesn't ordinarily mean support. Right? Those are two different things, basically. Farida earlier talked about values aligning. All right. So beyond you having similarities, you also need to look at those underlying factors. So she also talked about your ability to balance, right? To balance the home front and your ambition as a career woman. All right, great, fantastic points from that from Philomena there. All right. Okay, a lot of comments are really coming in. I hope I'll be able to keep up. Now, before I come back to our guest speakers, there are certain persons here I'll just like to call on their names to just throw some points in, or just give us some tidbits on what we're talking about today. All right, I'd like to call on Iyobusa. Are you ready to speak? Let me see if she's still on the call.
Yeah, okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Oh, great. Yeah, I can hear you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Could you just project a bit? Could you speak a bit louder?
Okay. Jonah, thank you so much for this topic and this platform. I've enjoyed myself so far.
Thank you.
I would say that Philomena, you are lucky. You got someone that embraced your ideas right from your days of courtship until dates. From what you have said, he has not changed. You know, not all women are so lucky. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Not all women are so lucky.
True.
Okay. Let me use myself as an example. When I met my husband, he kept saying, I don't want a woman that doesn't do anything. I don't want a liability. I want someone that's hardworking. And I was doing my business. I was traveling, getting goods, you know, and I felt, okay, I've seen someone that we share the same passion. Shortly after marriage, I got a job that I forgot I applied for. And it was in fact, it was the job. I wanted it. And the guy just looked at me and said, "You want to go with Bele?" That was the end of the matter. Do you understand? So I had to, from the way he talked, I just knew your job or your home. But this is the same person that barely a year before was saying, I cannot marry a liability. You know, so when I continued with my business, gradually he stopped withdrawing his support. Like, you have to be at home, you have to do this. It was just one kid, and the baby was, in fact, the baby was a baby. He started traveling with me from when he was 3 months old. And when I saw the way the support was being withdrawn, it affected me physically, emotionally, and otherwise. So sometimes women that don't have supportive spouses, it takes them longer to succeed. Not because they don't have ambitions, not because they don't have the drive, but once that support is withdrawn, it takes a toll on the emotions, and emotional abuse is the worst sort of abuse ever. You see women, they come out with good ideas. They can, before you tell them I have 500, I don't know what to do with this 500K, they tell you can do this, you can do this, and you can do this. And it works. But their own life is lacking. Check the background. There's nobody to, if the husband is not supportive and she involves her siblings, it's more like she's saying, I don't want this anymore. So if you see a woman that does not have a successful partner or that does not have a supportive spouse, and the marriage is still there, but she's just trying on her own, she has a wound, a very, very deep wound that may not heal, you know, because she has gone through a lot. When two people are carrying a home, things are difficult, not to talk of when one person is doing it alone. She just needs someone to say, how was today? How did you handle that man that was giving you stress? But when the person is like, he consigned me, you know, sorry, I come from a place where we speak pidgin a lot, so forgive my pidgin. When she doesn't have that kind of support, she can't even tell someone her breakthroughs, her victories, her losses. It takes a toll. And she can't go out to be looking for who to trust. That's why you see some women, they end up making bad friends. It's not because they wanted to make bad friends, but when the home is no longer receptive, then they tend to look for support outside. And it's not always that they find good support. So for me, Philomena and Dr. Vera, you women are lucky, okay? Because what we see these days, I've seen a lot of girls, they go into marriage with, he said he would do this, he said he would do that. And then when they enter, they tell them, welcome to marriage. This is not what I will do. So it's not just about, that Harvard, to me, that Harvard publication is correct. Surprise! Sorry. Go back, I'm talking. Sorry.
That's fine.
That Harvard publication is correct, okay? If a woman has a supportive partner, she can go to the moon and back. But if she doesn't have a successful partner, she will still get there. But a journey that's supposed to take 1 year will end up taking 10 years.
You both have strong points there. Very, very strong points. I cannot but agree to what you've said. I cannot but agree to what you've said. All right, here's what I'm going to do to take this conversation forward. There are a lot of comments that are coming in, and one particular question that has been dropped here, which I really need to mention, is now we already understand from what we've said, and I'm asking our guests this question. From what has been said, we already understand that yes, once you have a supportive partner, right, it enhances your success. And the question is, for those that want to succeed, however, are already in a relationship where there's no so much support, what should be the way forward? Let me just scroll up to see if I can get that question. Just a minute. Okay, I said I would like to know more points on how to succeed when the support isn't there. So I'd like to throw that question to Farida and Dr. Vera, can you just help us throw more light on that?
All right, thank you so much, Jonah, everyone. It's been a very interesting one. Okay, so when the support is not there, I think first thing first, I like the idea of supporting yourself. How do you support yourself? How do you build confidence in yourself? Before you begin to ask someone to support you, you must be able to look at yourself and tell yourself that you are worthy. So this is something I tell ladies, I tell women when I have to speak with women. First of all, build your own confidence. How do you do that? First things first, know yourself. Know what you are about. Have a goal. Have a plan. Have strategies for success for yourself. Now, when you're doing that, because the next thing the unsupportive partner will tell you is to tell you how bad you are, how you are not making waves, how your mates are doing better, how you are not intelligent. And then, of course, we all make mistakes in our businesses. He will take that mistake you have made and he will magnify it and begin to affect your own esteem. So you even begin to look, you're already in that box. Like I said earlier, I mean, you have made a choice to remain there. Some people have decided that I'm not going to remain here. But if the person has said, okay, this is my choice to stay here, then you must by your own self build your own self-esteem. Know your business, know what you want to do. Okay, I'm into sales. Understand what sales is about. Now, study the sector, the sales sector. Be a voracious learner, such that you have an idea of your sector, your business, your competitors. You know everything, not everything, you can't know everything. You have a solid ground in what it is you're doing. You are reading books, you are attending conferences, you are asking questions, by your own self, you look at yourself and you say, oh, Vera, you want to succeed, and Vera, succeed you will. Now, when you have solved that problem, the next thing you want to begin to help yourself do is begin to journal your own wins, your successes, because the idea of having an unsupportive spouse is, like I said before, it will continue to magnify your mistakes and your errors. So you will get yourself to a point where you tell yourself, okay, when I did this business, I did well, 1. When I did this business, I didn't do well, 2. When I did this, I did so. By the time you journal your successes, you will find that you have more successes than failure. That is building your self-esteem. That is you building yourself. That is you being deliberate about your decision to succeed. So now that you have done that, what next are we going to do? Let us just assume that this man is just being threatened by you. We are not privy to so many other factors, but let's just say that is the threat or his background that is affecting him. So you want to try your own best now. Your own starts with, okay, you right now you are good for yourself. You have worked on your own psyche. You have helped yourself. The next thing you want to do is you want to now build solid relationships, solid structures, people who see you and can tell you, Vera, you can succeed. People who see you and can help you build network. People who are like your support, a solid support system. So now you have gone beyond yourself. You have built a support system around yourself. The next thing you want to do is you now go back to this same spouse and find out what his issue really is. Is it that he's just someone who is threatened by the success of anybody? First of all, another thing you must tell yourself is that his unsupportive nature speaks more about him and not you. So let that get into what you are dealing and say, it has nothing to, let me say his name is John. John is not supportive of Vera because John is naturally an unsupportive person, and that is him. So it is not me, Vera, it is him. So by the time you begin to remove yourself from the problem, and I like the fact that this is my own word too, I do not sacrifice my family on the altar of ambition. So when people say balance, I agree with that 101%. I must have a life, even though I am working. I must have family time. I must do the things that will make the home happy. I must be able to be available for my children, go for their school programs, do this, do that. So when you have done all of those, your husband is now looking at you and you probably will tell someone else and say things like, you see, Vera, she does not do anything at home, does not care about us. You are fueling him. So this is you sorting your own area first. First of all, you know what you're about. You have built support system around what you're about. You are doing your part as a human being, as a woman. you are fixing your time with schedules, you have everything you want to do, then if you now have tiny little support from him, leverage on it. If the only thing he wants to do for you or for the children, because support can be different. Some husbands will support your business with money. Some husbands will give you their time. Some husbands will just be at home, lazing about, maybe, but sometimes they may be able to take care of the children for you. So that's him doing something very small. Or maybe he just says a very tiny thing, leverage on that little thing that he can do for you. Make him a bit relevant. Try to see if that will work for you. And say something like, oh, John, I'm going into this thing. What do you think? Because I heard you talking to somebody that day. You were giving that, you seem really, really, you are good with this decision. Please come and help me. Some of them just need you to make them relevant. Now, don't take this as absolute. This is just a thought. Check that out first. Have you tried to make him relevant? Have you helped him to find success in your own business? So you're not the one person who is saying, my company has done X, Y, Z, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm making him look like a loser. Now, I'm not saying again, not that I have said earlier, that is being unsupportive is not about you. So leave that first. But check yourself to find out, oh, what am I doing that makes this man feel like, feel more threatened by my success? Is it going to be, is it finding my success as his own success as well? So you can also bring him in and say, okay, I have a speaking engagement. I have something I want to do. Look at what they said I should come and do. Look at this business I want to do. Do you think I should go about it? So if you have done all of those, you have tried to make him relevant. You have tried to tell him I'm proud of you. You have tried to ask for help. You have tried to do all of those things, and he still says he's not supporting you. Because I know I have seen many in that situation, in that category. Then you can now leave him. Sorry to say it's hard. I'm not saying leave the marriage. I'm saying leave him and spend your time dealing with yourself. Spend your time building your business, but do not make sure while you're doing that, you are not causing trouble for him. He may feel that you're causing trouble for him, but be sure that you yourself, you're not causing trouble for him. For example, if there has to be food, of course there has to be food in the house, and it probably is your duty to make food in the house, make it and be reading your book. Well, I think Yobosa said something very profound. You will spend more time achieving it. So when your other colleagues or friends who have supportive husbands are sleeping, you may now wake up at that night to read and prepare. Now, one thing I always advise people is, as long as your mental health is not threatened, just begin to succeed on your own. If he sees it and he wants to be a part of it, show it to him, bring him in, allow him. But if he says, get out, I don't want to be a part of your success, then please face your business and succeed by your own self. This is my own thought, because I don't like to, I know for certain that I did my PhD in 3 years, 4 months, 6 months, sorry. The reason for that is that my husband asked me, please resign so that you can concentrate on this and he started paying my salary, started doing everything. He does every house chores and all that. Now I finished. I know someone who still finished maybe like 5 years because without the support from my husband, but she still had somebody like me who would tell her, oh yeah, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. So you cannot overemphasize the place of a solid support system. Sorry, I will say this again. That husband, if he's really, really unsupportive and bad, he will begin to fight or attack your support system. Then you have to just be wise at that point to now make up your mind and tell yourself, what exactly do I want for myself? Because the truth is, there is no marriage in heaven.
Dr. Vera, thank you very much. You've said a lot. I think what very profound, what I just want to bring to the fore is, one, build a healthy self-esteem. Now, building a healthy self-esteem is extremely key, extremely key, extremely key. We're dealing with a whole lot of mental health issues these days, and it goes a long way to, once your mental health is tampered with, there's hardly any form of success you can achieve in life. Very, very key. So as much as we go on this journey called life, it is key that we pay attention to our mental health. I've been in a situation whereby I had a boss that was literally tampering with the way I was doing things, and it was affecting my productivity. So I clearly understand the perspective you've brought in. Now, in building a healthy self-esteem, she also mentioned journaling your wins. Put it down. If you've done good, put it down. If you've lost, put it down. Now, build a solid support system. Profound. Thank you very much. Now, before we go on, before I call in Farida to also make her contribution based on that question I asked earlier, I'd just like to say, if you did not get an email from us, this is a good opportunity. Please drop your email in the chat box, and we'll collate your email so that you can always be a part of this roundtable talk. We have the roundtable talk on a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis, as the case may be. Kindly drop your emails. Then we'll also, if you also want, we also recommend that you watch the previous videos where you can see what we've been doing in the past. All right, before we call on Farida to also, let's hear her comments as well. We have Fire Williams, a woman I respect so much. She also made a comment, which I also like to refresh. She said, at Aisha and at Tinuke are right. Both men and women need to pursue balance in building the home. Now, I clearly understand that, yes, ladies can multitask, and yes, they also need to create that balance as we've all talked about. But however, I think we as men, we also have a role to play. Farida mentioned in the comment box to say, multitasking is a skill that can be acquired, is not inherent. Now, Farida, up to you. Let's hear your contribution.
Okay, thank you, Jonah.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna build on what Vera mentioned, because most of what I'm gonna say, she has said it in detail. Okay. But how do you get passed by a partner that is not supportive? Now, I keep telling women when I speak with them, I tell them there are two things that are caging you in, and you need to break free of them. Number one is mental freedom, and number two is financial freedom. In fact, statistics has shown that majority of 9 out of 10 of abusive relationships, the reason why, apart from the mental issues that comes to attach with your abuser, it's the fact that you're not financially free. You can't be independent. You can't stay on your own. So those are the two key things that you need to work towards: mental and financial freedom. And when it comes to the mental, right, there are certain things you need to do. For example, you need to embrace the power of positivity. You see, you can never underestimate the power of a positive mindset. Whatever it is you tell yourself, it manifests. If you're always negative, always thinking about negative things happening to you, negative things, you can never see good things, then that negative thing would always happen to you. But if you're always positive, it doesn't matter if the situation is dire or if it's hanging by the balance. You need to be positive about it. Now, two, you need to be conscious and deliberate. You need to put in a conscious and deliberate effort into building your personal and professional capacity. It needs to be conscious and deliberate. It's not everything that you see would go. You need to have a vision. What exactly is it that you want to do, and how exactly do you want to achieve it? You need to be conscious about that. Then, as well, you need to celebrate your own wins. Learn to celebrate your own wins, your small wins. You don't need anybody to celebrate you. You don't need anybody's, you don't need anybody to tell you, oh, yes, you're a winner. Tell yourself that you're a winner. One thing that I do to myself, anytime I feel down or I feel deflated, I tell myself, Farida, you are a winner. Money is attracted to you. Money loves you. You are a winner. Those are the kind of things that I tell myself. So that it also feeds into the power of the positivity and positive mindset. Now, you also need to validate yourself. Don't go seeking validation from anybody. That's one of the major problems, that we face as human beings, not just women. It's not even restricted to women, but it's a major problem that we face as human beings, and which is more prominent with women. You want to seek validation from your spouse. Let me ask you a question. That's your spouse. Is he going to give you heaven, or is he the one that holds the key to the heaven and the hellfire? And he will say, I'm not going to give you the key. You will not enter. That you're going to go and seek validation from him. Validate yourself. You don't need an external source of validation. When you do that, you would be shocked how much your confidence level will be built. Now, another thing you should do is build strategic and meaningful relationships. Yes, you're looking for somebody to support you, right? Your spouse to support you, and the support is not there. But when you go through all those things and then you start building meaningful and strategic relationships, you would find a support system in that. You would find people that are on the same journey with you. You have similar experiences, if not the same, but I would call it similar. And then you'll get to learn from their own experiences. They share, they tell you what they did, what worked, what didn't work. You learn, you listen, you learn, you pick some of the things that would work for you, and some of the things that wouldn't work for you, of course, you don't have to pick them. But when you build that kind of relationship, you, at the end of the day, get a support system from there. And then finally, the financial freedom. I am telling you, there is nothing that beats financial freedom. And when it comes in combination with mental and financial freedom, I am saying from experience, because this happened to me 8 years ago while I was still married. I married as I was very young when I got married, about 19, 20. I was just 19. I haven't even turned 20 yet, I remember. Yes, I was 19. And, for somebody who was so young and, didn't know the difference between my left and my right, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I was really seeking validation from my husband and from my husband's family. Whatever they say goes, I'm just, following them like a sheep. And then eventually, as I was growing in the marriage, I realized, look, there's some certain things that I don't want to take. These are some of the things that I want to do with my life. And then it started becoming, it became a clash. I would say Clash of the Titans. I don't know if you guys watch movies, but Clash of the Titans, that was literally what it was. And then it turned out to be a case of me being dependent. I'm dependent on that person for mental, for financial, for physical, for everything need. I'm dependent. I mean, it's a serious burden on one person for you to even ask and demand for everything. It really doesn't make any sense. So I started being conscious about gaining my mental and my financial freedom. And by the time I was done with that, I came back and I assessed the situation. I saw that it's either he meets me halfway, he matches up, or I go out of it. Because I definitely cannot downgrade myself. I worked so hard to get to where I am, and I'm never going to come back and, lower my standards just because I want to be in a relationship, because the society said, a woman should be in a relationship, should be married, and she should be taking care of her family and her children and her house. In fact, I'm not the kind of person that even fancies kids. So how about that? So in a nutshell, what we're seeing right now, right, is the rise of women into leadership, into business, into all general economy, and so many positions in the 20th century. And now the 21st century will see the adaptation of men to the consequences of that rise. And that is what we are discussing right now. And that is why we are having kind of tug of war between two ambitious people being in a partnership, right? And the reality is that this transition is not going to be smooth. The backlashes will be regular, but the benefits are potentially huge if we can find some sort of balance between, these two situations.
Exactly. That's a fantastic point, and I'll say a fantastic way to actually end your contribution, because at the end of today, that is what I actually want us to agree on. How do we find a common ground when we have two ambitious people? Because the way the society, the world is being designed today, definitely it's no longer the way it used to be, where you just have one person working. Now both partners want to work, both partners have ambitions. Now, how do we find a common ground? We'll be coming to that. But before we come to that at the end, I just want to say another area. Now, basically, permit me, our roundtable talk is meant to be 1 hour, but today it is really hot in here, and I think there are issues we really need to address before we take this. So I already knew that this will really cause a lot of hits, and I think it will be unfair if I just take it out after an hour. So let's just address some pertinent issues before we take it out. But I will call on some persons while I call on you to just make 1 or 2 contributions. Just kindly keep it brief. Now, I have a friend here called Lola. She's an entrepreneur at the moment, and I'll just like her to say 1 or 2 things. Lola, could you let's hear your thoughts on everything that's been said. Lola, are you there?
So, can you hear me, Jonah?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and thanks for this very pertinent topic. So, what everyone has said this evening is very, very critical, and I think for women, and especially I'll speak to myself now, it's one of the reasons why as an entrepreneur, I've decided to focus on it because society has put so much pressure whereby, we had the ambition and relationships of the Nigerian society. It's quite challenging to actually focus on both at the same time. So it's, especially what the last speaker said, it's very important, and it's something that I've done personally, which is to decide, okay, this is the path that, I want to follow. Do I want to focus on family? Do I want to focus on career? Yes, it's possible to have both, but you really need to sit down and ask yourself what it is you want to get out of life. Do you want to be in both shoes, or do you want to focus on just one? And if you want to focus on one, what is your plan? How are you going to build a support system around your lifestyle and all that? So for me, I would say that, first of all, your support system has to be yourself, your primary support system.